And good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:15, and we're back with part three of our hurricane coverage today. We want to thank again everyone for joining in, and we have a special guest with us. We have Miss Mary Laurent with SLEMCO, who is going to be joining us in just a second with an interview. Obviously, we're just going to ask her some questions for Hurricane Ida and about electricity and all of that. So we're going to add her in right now. Give me a second. Okay, Miss Mary, can you hear us?
I sure can.
So, okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today for the interview, and I hope y'all are all prepared and safe where y'all are at.
We are. We are.
Okay, good. So, starting to go to Slimco again, Miss Mary is the communications manager at Slimco. So, is Slimco expecting a lot of power outages in Acadiana?
Well, we were prepared for massive outages. It looks like it's not going to be anywhere near what we were anticipating, which is a good thing for us and unfortunate for people to our east. But we were prepared and still are prepared. From what I understand, the worst winds will be here between 6 and 8 this evening. So we've been working already. We just had one outage over in Southwest Eunice, and then another one right now in Arnaville that the tree branches have fallen. And so we're just taking them as they come and handling them as they come. The winds are low enough that we can handle them right away. So whatever comes, we're ready for it.
That's good. So, are y'all have lots of help from other linemen from across this country?
We do. In fact, I was just out there at the old location in Karen Crow. They were good enough to let us use the yard to house all the trucks and stuff and the equipment from the people who've come in from out of state. And so we have about 200, excuse me, that's my grand dog here. We have about 200 linemen and line workers who have come from all over the country to help us, usually from the southeast region of the country. And that's in addition to our 270 employees that we have. So we have plenty of people on standby no matter what happens this afternoon. If something freaky were to happen and the storm would turn and come straight here, which I don't think it will, we would be more than able to handle whatever comes our way.
Well, that's good. So, what is the process of restoring power? Like when someone there's an outage, what is the process that y'all do?
So that's a real important thing for people to know, because no matter where you live and no matter what company you're on, you always start at the power generation plant. You always start there, and then you have to check and make sure that all of the transmission lines are free and clear and operating properly. And then you go to the substations. And once all that's taken care of, then you can start with the main feeder lines. And that's the main lines that come out of the substation and go in each direction. Typically, each substation will have 5 or 6 feeders, and the feeders will stretch out along the roads and sometimes through fields, because we do have a lot to go through fields still. And then from there, you work those feeders, you get all the feeders on, and then you work the line sections. And finally, the last thing you do is you go house to house. So one of the things that's very frustrating to a lot of people, and we completely understand, is that they don't know why we can't go and go to their individual home right away. And that's because it doesn't do us any good to do that if we don't have any power coming in adequately from the generation plant. So we have to start at where we can get the most people on at one time, and that's how we do that. So it's just something that everybody has to do. Everybody does it the same way, and it's much more efficient that way.
Okay, and so how can people in the community help? Do y'all encourage them to report outages or just to wait?
Absolutely, absolutely. We encourage people to either call our outage line to report an outage, or they can log in for SLEMCO. They can log into their Smart Hub account to report an outage. And the other thing I wanted to say, if this would have been a major storm that hit us, let's say, not only do they work with the transmission lines first, but they also, the first day is usually just an assessment to see how extensive the damage is and where the assets need to go, so that we can make sure that we restore power correctly. So that first day is usually an assessment, and then you kind of go start working from there. Although we do start returning power or restoring power that first day too, but the first day is really when you kind of see what the damage is. But yes, we want people to call in. We want them to report their outage. The other thing that we want them to do is if they have seen any transformers blow, or if they have seen any wires come down, they need to let us know. They also need to make sure that if there are downed power lines, that they treat each and every power line on the ground as if it were energized, because you will very often have a pole break or something in just the right way that when the line falls, it is not dead. It's still hot and it can still kill people. So you want to assume that any line on the ground is dead. Don't try to move it with a stick or a pole or anything like that, because then you could be injured or killed that way. The other thing that's really important is that we want people to use their standby generators properly and carefully, because we don't want them to try to hook up their whole house. A lot of people will do this to hook up their whole house to a standby generator. If it's not done properly by an electrician with a double throw switch, actually that can backfeed the line, and our lineman may think and may have grounded and checked that a line is dead, and it's not really dead, and that power can be coming from the generator back through the line, and it can injure or kill our linemen. So those are the two big things that we need to make sure that people don't do.
Yeah, and generators are generator safety is a big thing, and especially for hurricanes, because when people's power go out, the main thing, their priority is to get their power back on. So as always, y'all encourage people to be patient with them, with y'all and all other linemen when restoring power.
Absolutely. And we realize that when those feeders come on, if you're lucky enough that your feeder, when your feeder comes back on, that your power comes back on, everybody's excited for you. But it gets really frustrating after that. And I know y'all had this last year in your area, where you had several homes that it was just the fuses were open. And those are the ones that are always waiting till the last, because they're a house by house process and we have to go individually from place to place. And so if that little hanging door is open, what we call a door to the cutout at your location is open, that means that fuse has to be individually changed by hand. So that's what takes so long at the end. And we realize that's very frustrating. And what that does, that's to protect both the equipment on the lines and the lines themselves and the transformers, but it's also to protect the home in that area in case at that location, in case something has happened. So as frustrating as it is, we do have to ask for patience, because that's something that can only be done by hand.
That's correct. So just to sum up what the interview was about, Miss Mary mentioned that they do encourage you when you have an outage to call them and report it, as well as generator safety. A lot of things go into being safe with generators that can impact you and also the linemen. And so, Miss Mary, thank you for joining us. And is there anything else you would like to add in before we end this broadcast?
Just be safe. Just be safe. It looks like we've been blessed this go round, and we should all be very grateful. And next time it could be us. And like we always say, but for 56, but for 40 or 50 or 60 miles, that could have been us. So prayers and blessings to the people to our east, and just stay safe.
Well, thank you, Miss Mary, for joining in, and we will talk to you soon. Stay safe. And again, everybody else, if you have any questions and want to send in pictures, videos of any of the events going on in your area, just send them into our Facebook or website. We'll be more than happy to feature them on our broadcast. Thank you, Miss Mary. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back later on with another update.
You're welcome. Thanks.